Let's give a tremendous round of applause to all of the top performers that crossed the stage today. Please give them a tremendous round of applause. And to all the powerful presenters, Troy Dolly, and all the people who came out and just provided ideas and strategies and techniques and how to grow your business. Give them a tremendous round of applause. How many of you have major goals you'd like to achieve? Raise your hands, please. Very good. Shake someone's hand on your right and left, look them in the eyes and say, you have greatness in you. Do that right now. Say, you have greatness in you. Yes, you have greatness in you. Many times we need to be reminded of that. And many times we need people in our lives that can see that in us and remind us of that. I'd like to introduce you to the person in my life who is the love of my life, but also a business partner. She is a wellness and corporate lifestyle executive, and she is a person who's an MD, medical doctor, and a PhD in integrative medicine, Dr. Julie Van Putnam. Give her a round of applause right here, please. How many of you have children? Raise your hands, please. Very good. My children are here with me, and Patrick and Serena and John Leslie. Give them a round of applause, please. Thank you for a long time in business. I want you to think about your goals and dreams. You're going through a lot of training, exposed to a lot of information, and it's for a purpose. So I want you to think about your goals and dreams in 3 areas. Number 1, a personal goal. What's a personal goal that you'd like to achieve? That the time that you've invested, things that you've learned, and when you leave here, going into action, working on these things. What's a personal goal? My first personal goal was to buy my mother a home. I'm adopted. I'm one of 7 children that she adopted. I feel like Abraham Lincoln, who said, all that I am and all that I ever hope to be, I owe to my mother. I was born in an abandoned building on the floor in a poor section of Miami, Florida called Liberty City, along with a twin brother, and we were adopted by Mrs. Mamie Brown. Mom only had a 3rd grade education. She never had any children herself. She always wanted children. And so I was among the 7 that she adopted. Now, which one am I on, your right or on your left? I'm the cute one, yes. No, I'm on your right. And so Mama was a domestic worker. She worked on Miami Beach for wealthy families. She cooked for families. And we ate the food left over from the families that she cooked for. They would say, Mamie, whatever food is left over, you can pack it up and take it home to those children that you have adopted. They were very kind and generous. She cooked for these families and she kept her children. And we wore the hand-me-down clothes of the children that she kept. And I was captivated by these big, beautiful mansions that Mama cleaned. And I would go to work with her. Now you say, Mama, what is it, Leslie? One day, when I become a man, I'm going to buy you a big, beautiful home, just like this. When will I be a man? She said, when you turn 18. And so I was looking forward to that. I said, when I turn 18, I said, you'll never pay another bill. When I turn 18, I'm going to sit you down. When I turn 18, I'm going to buy you a home. How many of you have somebody that you'd like to do something special for that you love? Raise your hand. Very good. I'll share with you how you can make that happen. And so, in my environment, dreaming was not something that people did a lot. But something happened for me. They say coincidence is God's way of staying anonymous. I don't believe there's any accident that you're here right now. That I realize now, everything that I've experienced, all the seminars that I went to, all the books that I've read, all the cassette tapes that I listened to, contributed to my being who I am right now. And what happened was that Mama worked for a man, Mrs. Sedersky, and every day, Mrs. Sedersky listened to motivational messages. He listened to these cassette tapes, and before then, reel to reel. I had shiny shoes. Leslie, come in here and shine my shoes. Yes, sir. And his wife would say, don't yell at him like that. But I didn't mind that, because he should have. I didn't shine his shoes as well as I could have, because I knew he would ask me to come back in, and I would spend more time in his office, and I could hear these messages that was really programming and restructuring my thinking. As you think about your goals and dreams, I want you to think about one, goal that you want to do something for someone that's personal to you. Two, your financial freedom goal, and that's what I did. I was thinking about buying another home as I listened to these recordings, and I thought about how much money that I wanted to earn. When I was a kid, they used to have a program on television called The Millionaire. John Beresford Tipton, Michael Anthony would give $1 million to a family every week. When the program would go off, I would run to the door, somebody would run the door. And Mama said, where are you going? I said, I think that's the man with the check. She said, if he had $1 million in Liberty City, he would never get here. He'd get robbed first. So I want you to think about your financial freedom goal. People say, money won't make you happy, but everybody want to find out for themselves. A friend of mine, Rita Davenport, said money is not important, but it's right up there with oxygen. And let me tell you something, fellas, even if you're as humble as I am, you got some money, women will find something cute on you. Oh, he's got eyelashes like Tom Cruise, honey. I used to be so broke, I'd walk past the bank and trip me along. Predators would call the house of my children would answer the phone and say, my daddy said, yeah, oh. I want you to also think about not only somebody that you like to do something personal for and your financial freedom number and be clear about what that is. And I don't want you to limit yourself. I want you to increase that by 100. And don't worry about how you're going to do it. How is none of your business. My favorite book says, lean not unto thine own understanding. In all thy ways, acknowledge him. And I want you to think about your social contribution. I believe that we live in the greatest country in the world that gives us an opportunity to leave a legacy, to make a difference in people's lives. Horace Mann said we should be ashamed to die until we made some major contribution to humankind. And one of the causes I believe in is breast cancer. I'm over the 22-year breast cancer conqueror. And because of God's grace and mercy, I'm a 20-year prostate cancer conqueror. Trust me, it's better to be seen than to be viewed. Some of you will get that later on. So as you think about your goals and dreams, let us say together, as you think about them, let us say with conviction, it's possible. It's possible. Say it again like you mean it. It's possible. When you leave here, all the training, all the information, the things that you've been exposed to, what's most important is that you start feeding your mind information that says it's possible. Information that will give you a sense of optimism. I had an opportunity to speak to some of the top performers, and it was really exciting just spending time with Celeste and the Double Diamond. Yes, give her a round of applause for that. Spending time with Sarah and Rebecca and Sheila. And one of the things that I noticed about them was the confidence, the positiveness, the spirit that we can do this, and also the love for the people that they work with, and a feeling that we all have the opportunity to make a difference in life. And I can just tell you, based upon my own experience, when I think about my own life, I limited myself for years because of my mindset. And the training that you're going through, the leadership that you have, is designed to expose your mind and to expand your mind. And I remember one of the first people to begin to really impact my life. I eulogized a few weeks ago, Mr. Leroy Washington. I never forget when I walked in his classroom and he said, young man, go to board and work this problem out for me. I said, oh, sir, I can't do that. I'm here to see MacArthur Stevens. I'm not one of your students. He said, look at me. I said, yes, sir. go to the board work department out anyhow. I said, I can't do that, sir. He said, why not? And the other students started laughing, saying, he's Leslie. He's got a twin brother, Wesley. His brother's smart. He's DT. He said, well, what's DT? He's a dumb twin. And the kids erupted in laughter, as some of you did just now. And I said, I am, sir. And he came from behind his desk and he looked at me. He said, don't ever say that again. Someone's opinion of you does not have to become your reality. And that was a turning point in my life. On one hand, I was humiliated. But on the other hand, I was liberated. Because he looked at me with the eyes of Goethe, who said, look at a man the way that he is, he only becomes worse. But look at him if he were what he could be, then he becomes what he should be. And that was a turning point in my life, because when I was in the 5th grade, I was labeled educational mental retarded, put back from the 5th grade to the 4th grade, failed again when I was in the 8th grade. I had my college training. But this man, he taught me some things that I'm going to share with you that dramatically changed my life. And things that's already a part of who you are. You and I are cut from the same cloth, with branches of the same tree. How many of you have invested time and energy talking to people about this opportunity to change their lives, and they said no? Raise your hands, please. And the reason they said no, and you said yes, is because they're suffering from possibility blindness. The reason that you said yes is because you have an awareness inside of you that says, I can do this. I'm willing to test myself. I'm willing to reinvent myself. See, most people who say no, they don't know that in the next 10 years, over 1/3 of the jobs that are available now will not be around. They'll be eliminated through what they call mechanized intelligence, technology. That in order to make it today, you have to be adventurous. In order to make it today, you've got to be willing to die to who you are now to give birth to who you must become. In order to make it today, you've got to be willing to learn some new strategies on how you can provide for yourself and the people that you care about. One surgery. I was in a meeting the other day. The guy said, one surgery. All of us are just one surgery from bankruptcy. One sickness can just break you. And so as you look at yourself, look at your goals, you made the right decision to say that I'm going to find a way that I can control my own future. You are different. You're unique. Don't be surprised and discouraged when you run into a lot of no's and a lot of rejections. And people say, oh, that's some pyramid scheme. Or I tried that and it did not work. Don't be surprised. And don't be discouraged by that. You said yes. Why? Because there's something in you that says, I can do better than what I'm now doing. There's something in you. I'll never forget when Mama said, Leslie, I heard you quit your job in Sears. Why? Because, Mama, I want to buy your home. And I'm not making enough money to do that. She said, but you had benefits. You had a good job. I said, I know, Mama, but it's not me. It's not me. What are you going to do? I'm not sure. But I can't do this anymore. Have you ever been in that kind of place? Raise your hands, please. But you just said, I can't do this anymore. And I'm saying to you, don't lose that. You're different. One great American said, I choose not to be a common man. It's my right to be uncommon if I can. I seek opportunity, not security. I do not wish to be a kept citizen, humbled and dull by having the state look after me. I want to take dreaming to build a guaranteed existence. The thrill of fulfillment to the still calm of utopia. I will never stop pursuing my dream. Give yourself a round of applause for being my dream. And so most people, because they are victims of weapons of mass distractions, locked into what the latest television series is, Scandal, while they're living a scandalous life. They are caught up in the things that they see every day. They're distracted. But you're here. Why? One focus. You're here. Why? One dream. You're here. Why? One goal. You're here. Why? A vision. One vision to move your life from where it is now to what you envision for it to be in the future. And you're willing to put in the time you're willing to put in the work, you're willing to put in the effort, and trust me on this, you will find a lot of naysayers. But I can tell you, based upon my own experience, all of the efforts, all of the rejections, all the no's that you encounter, it's worth it. I can tell you. Let us say together, it's possible. It's possible. Let us say together, it's necessary. It's necessary. See, when you leave here, the people who are going to make their dreams come true are the people who will say that it's necessary. It's not a wish. It's necessary. Because you're not mentally fit to work for somebody for the rest of your life. It's necessary. Because you got goals and dreams and you're not willing to compromise. It's necessary that you go all out. E.L. Williams said, all you can do is all you can do, and all you can do is enough. But make sure you do all you can do. I never forget, for 14 years I didn't do what I'm doing now. And Mike Williams said, Brownie, you can do more than be in this job. I said, what else can I do? Oh man, you like to make people laugh, you got a funny laugh, you like to talk to people, you go to juvenile detention centers and schools and you speak all the time. You go to those motivational sessions and you listen to Zig Ziglar and Tony Robbins and all those people. You can do that too. And I said, but man, I don't have a college education. And I never worked for a major corporation. He says, Brownie, all of us are born the same way, dumb, naked, and speechless. You can learn. How many of you had somebody see something in you that you didn't see in yourself? Raise your hand. And so I just could not see that in myself. And then something happened. I was working WDKO radio station, and then I ran for the Ohio legislature and was elected, and I got a call. And the call said, Leslie? Yes, are you standing up or sitting down? Standing up, sit down. Why? Mama is sick. She's got breast cancer. And we're going to put her in a nursing home. She can't take care of herself. And I said, no. I said, we knew you would say that. Margaret, get on the phone. I said, listen to me. No. I had a problem. How can one woman raise 7 children who couldn't take care of themselves, but 7 grown people couldn't take care of one woman? I had a problem. Inconsiderate or unappreciative. They knew that they couldn't afford it. And so I resigned immediately from the Ohio legislature. I went back to Miami. I was there within 3 days. When I rung the doorbell, a friend of mama's named Mrs. Mildred said, Mamie? She said, Leslie said. I can hear mama's voice in the background saying, I knew he would come. I knew he would come. And when I came in the house, you're not going anywhere. I said, you're going to be just fine. And so because I told Mom when I was 10, I said, I'll take care of you. You will never go in a nursing home. I said, when I become a man, I will be there for you like you were for us. How many of you have someone you want to be there for? Raise your hands. Now repeat after me, please. It's necessary. It's necessary. That I develop myself. That I upgrade my skills. That I develop new relationships. Yeah, and this is what you're doing. I'm speaking to the choir. You're developing yourself. You've been going to sessions and learning new techniques and strategies and how to begin to expand your network, because your network determines your net worth. And you are learning new ways to create income for yourself. You're not working around and sitting around waiting for somebody to do something for you. You're working to do something for yourself. You're preparing yourself for the future. Let me share something with you. I'm 70 years old. Let me share something with you, what I can tell you based upon reality. I look good for 70 years old. And I want to share with you, I don't dye my hair because I have an allergic reaction to dye. But can I share a secret with you? I do use mascara to cover the gray. Children said, Daddy, you look distinguished with your gray hair. I said, 70, I'm not trying to look distinguished. I'm trying to look young. making this up. You can go there and see it. LesBrownMotivation.com. And you see a variety of other motivational videos. So at the end of my presentation, a person came back and said, "Oh, Mr. Brown, our speaker canceled on us. Do you have enough energy to give another speech?" I said, "No, I'm tired." They said, "We can pay your full fee." I said, "The Lord is able." Red Fox said, "Money can't buy you happiness, but it can make a big down payment," right? So they took me over to the Georgia World Congress Center. And I looked in the room, it was very intimate, they're close to the stage, and said, "Excuse me just a moment." I said, "Let me go to the restroom." So I went to the restroom, and I started cuffing up a little bit. I was sweating out, getting it together before I went in the room. So she wanted everybody to know she knew me. She said, "There he is, Les Brown." And so when I came up on the platform, she kissed me on the cheek. I kissed her on the cheek and left this big black spot on her face. So I just sat down. So people down front started saying, "There's something on your face." She looked at me, she said, "What are they saying?" I said, "I don't know." So finally a lady came down, opened up her purse, gave her a mirror. She looked in the mirror, saw the big black smudge on her face. She said, "How did this get here?" I said, "I don't know, you think maybe this rubs off?" Because now I use waterproof mascara. You gotta do what you gotta do. But you got to have strong self-esteem to expose these beauty secrets to the public, all right? So, as I looked at my life and I did this presentation, here's something I want you to think about. Let us say together, it's me. It's me. See, all of us can point our finger at the economy, at the politicians, for the hardships and the experiences that we go through. Say we don't have enough jobs, the global economy. All of us can find something that we can point our finger at. But ultimately, I think that George Bernard Shaw was right. He said people that make it in this world, they look around for the circumstances that they want, and if they can't find them, they create them. And this is what you've done. When you said yes, you decided, I'm going to create something that will allow me to be financially independent. You decided, I'm going to build an organization that will allow me to be in charge of my financial future. You decided, I'm going to live my life victoriously, not going through life being a victim. Give yourselves a round of applause for taking responsibility for your life. It's possible. It's possible. I can live my dream.
I can live my dream.
It's necessary.
It's necessary.
It's non-negotiable.
It's non-negotiable.
It's me.
It's me.
It's hard.
It's hard.
See, I didn't do what I'm doing now for 14 years because I knew it would be hard. For me to compete with people with MBAs and PhDs, for me to develop a level of credibility that I could speak for AT&T, Procter & Gamble, McDonald's Corporation, General Electric, IBM, Xerox, and these are clients that I have now. I knew it would be hard. And then my mentor said something to me. It's real. He said, Les, he said, if you do what is easy, your life will be hard. But if you do what is hard, your life will be easy. It's not easy facing rejections day in and day out. It's not easy being around negative, toxic people, many times your relatives, people who will benefit from your efforts, telling you you can't do it. It's not easy. Am I correct on that? It's hard. Have the courage to keep pushing forward. People you thought you could depend on, people who you thought would be a real good go-getter, had the personality, had the charisma, had all of the qualities that's required for building an organization. They said, you can count on me. And after 3 or 4 rejections, they quit. It's hard. And it's easy to quit. But I can just share this with you, and you know this already. When you have a dream, clear about why you're doing this. You gotta know, because some tough times are going to come. Tough times are going to come. When Mama was diagnosed with breast cancer, that was tough for me. That's hard. And my best friend, he was waiting on a liver transplant. That's a hard blow. And then I was diagnosed with prostate cancer, PSA 2,400, 1 to 4 normal. That was hard. And as you look at yourself, look at your goals, life is challenging. You know, or it's good, but right. Life is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. My favorite book says, think it not strange that you face the fiery furnaces of this world. You will, not you might, you will have tribulations. But there's something in you that said, if it's hard, then I will do it hard. There's something in you that says, I'm not giving up on the dream. There's something in you that says, I'm not giving up on my family. I'm not giving up on the things that I want to do. I'm not giving up on creating a new life for myself. I'm not going to stop. There's something in you at the cellular level that says, I refuse to give up on what I've decided that I'm going to do. Give yourself a round of applause. Dr. Howard Thurman come forward. He said, there's something in each and every one of you that waits and listens to the voice of the genuine in yourself. It will be perhaps the only guide you will ever have. And if you cannot hear it, all of your life, your days will be spent on the ends of strings that somebody else pulls. I submit to you that you came here and you said yes, because you've decided in your heart of hearts, nobody's going to pull my strings. I say to you that you showed up and said yes, because you've decided I'm going to pull my own string. You decided I'm going to control my own destiny. You decided I'm going to write my own check. You decided I'm going to be my own boss. Give yourselves a round of applause for that decision. See, come forward. See, Ziglar said, if you give enough people what they want, they will give you what you want. Jim Rohn, come forward. When the end comes for you, let it find you conquering a new mountain, not sliding down and over. Winston Churchill, speak to us. The truth is incontrovertible. Malice may attack it, ignorance may deride it, but at the end, there it is. The truth of the matter is you've got greatness within you. The truth of the matter is you've got dreams in you. The water has broken. You've been pregnant a long time. It's now time to deliver and make it happen. Give yourselves a round of applause. I drove my mother in that area of North Miami Beach. I saw this house and I knew she would love this house. And when I drove by, she said, Leslie, slow down. Sure enough, the house that I thought she would love, she said, boy, if I lived in something like that, I would feel like Mrs. Rockefeller. I want you to think about a goal, a dream that you have. And I want you to take some steps as if you already had it. See, I took a picture of the house. I went and filled out an application. I didn't have the down payment. But I started thinking that I already had it. You got to call forth those things that be not as though they were. And I started working to get the money to pay down on the house. You've got to start working as if you already crossed the stage. You've got to get your acceptance speech ready. You've got to get your mindset ready. You've got to get your prospect list, the number of people that you're going to talk to. If you have a list of 200, then put down a list of 600. But you've got to, and write this down, become a no matter what person. I decided I'm going to get this house for Mama. My mama loved that house. She said she'd feel like Mrs. Rockefeller. And I said, I'm going to make it happen no matter what? A no matter what person, no excuse is acceptable. A no matter what person, you are willing to do whatever is required. And then I made it happen. Some of you already had some things happen for you that just out of the blue, that it came through. You didn't even know how, but it came through. You've been there. And I never forget driving Mama back past that big, beautiful mansion. And Mama said, Leslie, slow down. Here's to the house again. I said, Mama, I'm glad you said that. I know the people who live there. Let's go in and say hello. She said, you know her? I said, yes, ma'am, I do. So we pulled up to the house, and Mama, this time, she was 79. I went around and opened the door for her, and she started walking with me. And she said, boy, you know the people. I said, yes, ma'am, Mama, I do. And so we got to the door, and I couldn't hold it any longer. I reached in my pocket, I put the key in the door, and turned it. I said, Mrs. Rockefeller, this is your home. He said, Leslie, what are you talking about? I said, Mama, this is yours. I bought it for you. I said, it's fully furnished. I said, I knew you would love it, and this is what I've been working on. And she stuck her head in the door and said, anybody here? I said, there's no one here but us, Mama. I said, come on in. And as she walked around, she said, thank you, Jesus. Leslie? Yes, ma'am? When Mr. Moss told me this lady had these twins that she wanted to give away and nobody wanted both of them, that they would take one, and I said, I'll take both of them. And he took me out to meet her, and she said, are you the lady that won twins? And I said, yes, I've never had any children. And she stood up and she put you in my arms, and it was a light blue blanket. And I remember kissing both of you, and I said, are you sure, lady? And she said, yes. And we drove away. And I never thought, you didn't have to do this. I said, I know, Mama, I know. I wanted to, Mama, I wanted to. You didn't have to do this, Leslie. And you were such a problem child. I said, I know, but I'm rich now. Let us say together, it's possible.
It's possible.
I can have my dream.
I can have my dream.
It's